Thank you, Abdul Latif. It's nice to be connected as well. So I guess now we can make a start. Thank you all for attending. What I'm hoping today that you take some of the takeaways to assess your founder and entrepreneur DNA. If you were basically trying to start a new business or build a new startup soon, and just be prepared of what you would be expecting throughout the journey of building your business from the inception phase till the growth phase. And if you are an existing founder, just have some sort of a reflection and I would say like honest therapy session to reflect on some of the tips that I would be sharing today, and just try to apply it to their own use cases and think critically about some of the mistakes that they might have done in the past or they might be doing now. I definitely don't claim expertise in every topic a founder should know. That's why I've basically focused on some of the tips that and lessons that I've witnessed firsthand, rather than sharing some general startup advice. While I strongly advocate for having more startups and empowering more leaders in tech, I guess we all need to understand and appreciate how hard it is to be a startup founder. The weight of the responsibility that you can carry can sink you down if someone don't have the right mentality and is not equipped with the right skills and knowledge. I guess I'm hoping this set of tips, the 25 I'm preparing for today, would be useful for most of you. One of the sort of like the impossible dreams I had is to be able to live the lives of multiple people. I'm very passionate about how rich it could be, the experience one can learn from people who have been through different career paths and different life paths that everyone have witnessed himself. That's why through my professional career, I've served as a QA analyst, a software engineer, a machine learning researcher, a teacher assistant, a product owner and a product manager, a business advisor, and now as a founder. And I've done this in multiple industries. I've done this in retail, e-commerce, fintech, and edtech. And I've done this in Egypt and the UK. So without further ado, I'm going to share the 25 tips. Let me see if I can just first share my screen. If not, I can just go through the notes. I was just hoping that you guys can see the tips on the screen. If not, I'm going to share and circulate the slides anyway, and have the team also share it with all the attendees on the page. So yeah, it seems like for some reason it's disabled for me, so that's fine. So first of all, I just want to give you just a quick brief about what we do at Knowledge Officer. So at Knowledge Officer, we offer career development programs that help people land jobs in tech. We offer that in multiple careers, mainly for, at the moment, product management, growth management, marketing, and entrepreneurship, or those who are trying to build their startups. Just for you to learn more, you can visit knowledgeofficer.com/plus. And if you decided to apply to one of those published courses, you can use the code IEEE R8, so IEEE R8, just to get 30% discount. And I'm going to share this with you as well, and the team will going to share with you on the page after that. I'm going to time this at 25 minutes. I will be trying as much as possible to basically reach this goal and be able to do it in 25 minutes. Some of those tips might take more to explain, and I just wanted for you to have this sort of like an index about the high level things that you might need to think of, whether you are already a startup founder or someone who is thinking about being a startup founder at some point in the future. But I will be receiving question at the end of the 25 minutes, and also I guess we might be arranging more sessions with YP Egypt. I'm happy also that we have recently announced our partnership at Knowledge Officer with YP Egypt. So we might be doing a session on some of those tips to go through them in detail. So let's get through the 25 tips in 25 minutes. So the first one is, building a product is easy. building an exceptional product is hard. Building a business is extremely hard. I guess we are all accustomed to the idea of building a product, right? We can think of building a website, we can develop an idea for a new mobile app, a new innovative concept, and we all have the ability to execute on that, whether it needs some technical expertise, some operational expertise, or some business excellence. Building an exceptional product is hard. And what I mean by exceptional product is a product that is solving a strong, painful problem for a big set of customers 10 times better than the competition. This is very hard, right? I mean, being able to have this combination and elements in a product is hard. And being able to build a business is even more harder. Building a business requires hiring a team, company finance and auditing, partnership deals, caring about marketing, sales and business development, building a competitive edge, and much more. So if you are thinking about being a startup founder in the near future, you need to be able not just to build a product, but to build a business and to build a company on top of that. So that's a very important thing for you to notice. Second point or second tip I want to share today is like being wrong might hurt you a bit, but being slow will definitely kill you as a startup. For startups, speed is very, very important. Speed and momentum are startups' strongest weapon and edge. If you lose them, you are as a startup edgeless, basically. This is what differentiates you from big enterprises and corporates and those who have been there in the market before you. Speed can be about speed in decision making, speed in delivery, whether you are doing frequent launches, whether you're doing short development cycles. If you think you need to have 6 weeks to develop this new product or feature, think again and find a way so that you can develop this in just like 2 weeks or 1 week. You'll be surprised how feasible this is. You'll be surprised how easy is it to do that. Speed is also about responding to users' feedback. Speed is about also speed of conflict resolution internally within the company. When enough members of your team and or your organization exhibit this habit and think a lot about speed and momentum, the whole organization would gain velocity. Never let the company lose the velocity and never let the company lose momentum. This might be one of the deadliest diseases that might kill a startup. The second or the third point is, do you want to be the smartest person in the room? Ask the simplest questions. I know that this might be counterintuitive for some of you, but always think the word simple when you think of the word smart. I'm surprised why many people mix smart with complex. Being simple is always very smart. Asking many whys and bringing things back to their first principle is really essential. First principle thinking is a very important concept, and I encourage you to all read about. It's basically about the practice of actively questioning every assumption you think you know about a problem, and then creating new knowledge and solutions from scratch. It's a very important concept, and just like take away this tip that ask the simplest question, you will be the smartest person doing so. And then number 4 is, when experts are wrong, it's often because they are experts on an earlier version of the word or because they are too confident of their expertise. That's basically an advice for people who receive advice and people who give advice to people. As founders, we receive advice from many people. We receive advice from investors, we receive advice from advisors, we receive advice from customers, employees, and many more. When you take advice, you need to think critically about it and not blindly just trust the person giving it. You need to manage what they call the psychology of advice. And you need to manage it for both you and the advice giver as well. Take care of the advice that confirms your prior beliefs. Take care of the advice that feeds your ego, that came in recently or came from the person that you favor. Just because you like this advisor, just because you like this person and you blindly trust this person or you think he's an expert, doesn't basically force you to accept every advice or every tip you take from this person. Always advice givers project their own experience when they give advice or project their own personality when they give this advice to you. Just take any advice with a pinch of salt, including this advice which I'm sharing with you now. And then jumping to tip 5, I just want to comments. There are some comments, so we will cover this, how to deal with situation as a startup. Okay, we'll go through this at the end as well. So let's move to advice 5, or tip number 5. And this one is very important, and I'm keep reminding myself with is you are not equal your startup. The startup is a business you are starting that can fail or succeed. You as a human are much more than that. This is essentially about basically not to be afraid to fail. Failing fast is always better than failing slow. And the importance of separating your personal brand from the startup brand. Don't let this be mixed together, and don't let your ego stand in your way. Startup success requires a lot of factors, and some of which you can't even control or have influence on. Failing as a startup doesn't mean that the deaths of their founders. This is very, very basically wrong if you think of it this way. You will fail a lot and you'll make a lot of mistakes. Learn how to live with that. Just as a takeaway, you are not equal to your startup. Tip number 6, always have a plan. No worries if you deviate from this plan, but you can see a deviation if you don't have a target. I guess everyone say that it's good to have a bad plan than having no plan at all, right? People tend to confuse the concept of agile or being lean or flexible with no planning at all, but that's completely wrong. Agile is about flexibility of your plan and being open to change and pivot. And a plan doesn't mean a yearly plan. So when you receive an advice to put a plan, it doesn't have to be a plan for 6 months or a plan for 1 year or 2 years. And that's also not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking even about a daily plan, a plan for yourself, a personal plan for your life. How would you be able to track progress and assess success without a plan or target? It's almost impossible and would lead you and your startup to a complete miss. Always have a plan, a daily, a weekly plan. This is very, very key and very, very essential. And even if you deviate from the plan, that's totally fine. Tip number 7, people management is more about people and less about management. People management is more about people and less about management. People always confuse people management with processes, systems, and rules, and probably of the bad reputation of the word management. But people management is all about being a human being. It's all about trust and treating your people fairly and honestly. This level of intimacy is what let your company pass difficult situation, and a challenge that we are facing all now with this current situation that we are all basically witnessing as in the whole world. This is an example of a situation that you would need your people to be together in. You would need your people to have the trust in you as a founder, and you as a founder need to trust your people to be able to pass this and get even stronger out of it. Some people didn't exhibit this from the beginning, and that's why they are suffering now, and they are trying to get something from their people that they are not used to be giving to them, and that's when the problem happened. Just be human and treat people just like the way you want to be treated, essentially. Number 7, a founder without a mentor of some sort can rarely succeed. So this is very critical for founders and something that you should start thinking about now if you haven't already. If you want to be a founder, you need a mentor, you need advisors, you need these people around you. Mentors and advisors are essentially or are essential to the success of you as a founder, and they are also your key support network for you personally when the tide is down. And this happens a lot in the journey of a startup. You need to pick carefully the people in your network who are giving you this advice, because this is your unfair advantage. Every founder has his own edge and has his own sort of like advantage over other founders who are developing something competing with their offering. Your advisors picked carefully could be your unfair advantage. There's a lot to say here about how to find good advisors, how to be attractive to advisors, because basically you need to sell yourself so that they be willing to advise you, and also how to manage advisors' relationship. Invest in building a good network and start doing this investment now. It takes time, but you would reap a lot of output out of it. Tip number 9, the highest degree of competency is knowing what you don't know. Stay humble. the highest degree of competency is knowing what you don't know. Knowing what you don't know is extremely hard, and that's why it is the highest degree of competency. People are usually overly confident in their abilities, and only very few people understand their true capabilities and are competent enough to appreciate the unknowns in this world, and are humble enough to say we don't know, or humble enough to appreciate the effect of continuous learning, and to be able to always be open to receive advice and to change their opinion about things and to read about new stuff. Stay humble and don't stop learning. Tip number 10, disagree, respect, and commit. I guess we all hear the concept of disagree and commit. I just added here the word respect in the middle, and I'll let you know about it in a few seconds. Strong disagreements are inevitable, right? You'll always have lots of disagreements, you with your team, you with your co-founder, with your investors, the team together. You can't always wait for consensus. Waiting for consensus is against the area tip we shared about speed and momentum. The disagree and commit principle has two main objectives, basically. The first one is to encourage the team to disagree when making an important decision. You don't need them to wait to follow the group thinking trap, and you need people who can challenge you and who can challenge themselves. You don't need people who just follow what you said. So you need to be open and actually actively encouraging people to be challenging you and challenging themselves. So that's the first point about the concept. The second point is you need to unite the team in committing to whatever decision once it has been made. So once we decided that we will follow this decision, everyone needs to commit. And most importantly, you should always keep respect as a contract between the two parties. So the two disagreeing party should basically respect each other's, whatever the outcome or whatever the decision that has been made, and whatever the results or the outcome of this decision. It might be the right decision, and it might be also the wrong decisions. Just looking to see if there's any more comments, but we will get back to it, as I said, later in the call. Tip number 11. This is for people who are thinking about joining a startup at some point in their life. Join a startup if you are passionate about the problem that this startup is solving, or you will learn from the team of this company, and you believe in the viability of the business. So 3 components and 3 elements. 1 is passion about the problem. 2 is you believe that this team is knowledgeable and you will learn from them. And 3 is the viability of the business and how much you believe this business can grow. You definitely must join a startup if it has the 3. You could join a startup if it has 2 of them. Definitely don't join a startup if it doesn't have any of the 3. Tip number 12, find weekly spots to reflect, strategize, and meditate. This has priceless outcomes. Forcing yourself, I guess, to get outside the picture is really key to develop innovative frameworks of thinking and new out-of-the-box ways and ideas. Do your own meditation. Some people do running, some people do walking, calling a friend, staying with family and spending more time with them. I know some of you do also like eating as a way of meditation, but I can't basically encourage that in a public setting. But yeah, I mean, do your own meditation that you basically use to regain your energy and to be able to develop new ideas and think outside the box. Tip number 13, entrepreneurs are not celebrities. If you want to become a celebrity, there are much easier way to do it. The best entrepreneurs are not busy every day doing events, speaking, sharing on social media, and attracting the spotlight. If that's basically your goal, to be famous, as an entrepreneur who should know how to hack his way into things, there are much easier routes to be famous. Entrepreneurship is very hard. Building a business, as we said earlier, is really, really hard. So don't look to build a business to be famous. There are much easier way to do that. Tip number 14, constructive and honest feedback is the key to succeed in any career. You need to surround yourself with people who constantly challenge you to be better. Getting feedback is key to improve. We all know that, but receiving feedback is a thing, and accepting feedback is another thing. So you need to learn how to basically accept feedback, and you need to surround yourself with people who constantly give you this sort of feedback. Train your mind and soul to accept harsh yet constructive feedback, and I would say even destructive feedback. You need to learn how to distill the good information from any conversation that you might have. Not everyone would carry the best intention when they give you feedback. That's fine. But you need to know how to distill the information that you would learn from and what would make you move forwards, whatever the intention of the advice giver or the one who is giving the feedback. And you need also, as a founder, to implement processes in the company that encourage people to give feedback in a 360 manner. Tip number 15, ideas are open source, execution is proprietary. Focus on execution. I guess this one has been said many times, but I'm still surprised that when I hear from people getting afraid about sharing their idea because they are worried that someone might copy it. Don't think that your idea is the best idea and it's the most innovative one. There are very, very few novel ideas out there, very, very few and very rare. And most of the time, the edge and what differentiate an idea from another one is the execution bit. Ideas are worthless, execution is gold. That's what people say. And the practice of sharing your ideas is not only useful for you to receive feedback and to be able to learn how to pitch and communicate basically the value proposition of the product, but it's also useful for you to be able to think differently about your idea yourself than letting it rot only inside your head. Speak openly, don't be afraid of someone copying your idea. Your execution is what will differentiate you. Tip number 16, invest in building your network. Your startup success is heavily affected by the depth of your network and the weight of its nodes and edges. We said before that advisors and mentors are very, very essential for the success of any founders. That's correct. Advisors and mentors form the first layer and the first level of your network, but you need to invest in the other layers as well. The other people in your network might be your partner, might be your investors, might be your co-founders, your team, your employees. So you need to always be focusing on building a strong network, because this is a very key element of the success of any startup. And this is more important than fundraising, which we always talk about. And building a network and having a good network is as important as building a team and being excellent in terms of execution. Building a network takes time. So again, if you haven't done this already, do this now. It's essential. Think about it as you think about having a co-founder or like having someone who might be willing to support the idea with funding the network to build, to help you like take your startup from one step to another and help you like partner with other people and help you hire from the right channels is very, very key for the success of your startup. And it's very, very hard. Those people who are embedded in strong networks and are trusted within their networks have very, very high leverage over other founders. So invest in building this network. Tip 17, people change if they believe in the need for change. Invest more time telling people why to change than how to change. This is an advice for people who give advice to people. So if you are giving an advice to someone, and we all love to give people advice and tell people our view of life and our view of the life that they should be living, but you just need not to assume things. And instead of telling people what to do, tell them why you think they should do it and let them decide for themselves. Very important for team leaders and anyone who is managing a team or leading a group of people. Invest more time on telling them why to change than how to change if you believe that they need to change a behavior. Tip number 18, unconscious incompetence is the deadliest disease for people and startups. Avoid these people as much as possible and avoid being one of them. Be aware of your own incompetencies and work on it. Those people who have the unconscious incompetence sometimes believe that they are experts while having very, very shallow knowledge and skills. And they are very, very or they are very strong-headed. So it's very hard to change their beliefs and their souls. Give it a try, definitely. You always try to give people a chance and try to give them advice if they believe in that and they might be willing to change. But if they don't, avoid these people, don't hire these people, and don't work with these people. Tip 19, think about profitability from year 2 or 3. Most of what you spend before that is a business waste, but done right, it can grow the team knowledge and pave the road to a clear success afterwards. This is about profitability and when to think about profitability as founders. Many founders do the mistake of delaying thinking about revenue and profitability, and I've done this as well myself multiple times. We call it product excellence. We call it, we are focusing on engagement and retention, which is fine, but don't do this for so long, because profitability and unit economics is key and margins are key and is all what matters, to be honest, when it comes to building a business. And the shape of your product and even sometimes your vision as a startup leader or as a founder before revenue, something completely different from your product after revenue. So you could delay profitability a little bit, but don't delay beyond year 2 or year 3 in the worst possible scenario. Tip number 20, we are almost there. I guess like 4 minutes left. 20 is old school partnership is still the easiest way to grow. Unsexy it sounds, but more effective than 90% of the modern ways to grow. So this is about basically building partnership, and it's somehow related to a network because as we mentioned earlier, you need your network because some of those people in the network will be your partners. If you research the way hugely successful companies have grown, you will find that it's usually through a viral effect, which is a bit hard to achieve in today's world, but it's still doable, or through a channel partner, some partner whom they have used or utilized their channel to be able to grow on top of it. Think of it this way. You need a channel as a product to grow or as a service to grow, and you are either creating this channel yourself, so you are inventing a new channel of growth, or you are stealing this channel from a competitor, so you are using other competitors' way of growing and using this for your favor, or you are using someone else's channel, and this is when you have a partnership with someone and you are utilizing this partner's network and channel to be able to grow. Very, very important to do these partnership and to think about partnership this way, and not try to avoid it and try to go over just basically modern growth hacking tips and tricks. Tip number 21, hire people who are better than you or who can learn from you and then become better at what they do. So this one has two edges. The first one is that you need to hire people who are better than you. You need basically to look for people who are smarter, who can do things more than what you do, and who are more knowledgeable. I understand that this doesn't apply for all the roles and all the stages of building a company. That's fine. In this case, you need to hire people who can learn from you long term and then be better at what they do. As a startup founder, and typically as a CEO or a CTO, you will be a bit T-edged, and we'll talk about it in a bit. And you would learn a lot of things. You need to have basically a breadth of knowledge about things. So you need people to complement this with depth of knowledge about things. That's your hire and that's your team. So invest in hiring people who are smarter than you. And I encourage all the founders who are listening to this to invest in people, to take risks on people. If someone doesn't have knowledge or experience, that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be the best hire. Invest in the right people, invest in people who are smart, who can learn, and then who can be better at what they do than what you originally have. Tip 22. As a startup founder, you must be T-edged. This is the one which we have been talking about. The bigger the width, the better, paired with an acceptable depth. So you are a T-edged person as a founder, and you should have an overview of every part of building a product, a business, and a company. Invest in your width, especially as your company grow. As your company grow, you will be less doing one thing all the time, and you'll be doing multiple things throughout the course of building a company and growing it. Tip number 3, empathy is key to running a company. Without empathy, it's almost impossible to run a successful company and lead a happy life. You need empathy towards users, you need empathy towards your investors, you need empathy with your co-founders, with your team. Again, this relates to the point which we said earlier about being a human, being intimate and honest with your people. Without empathy, you can't sell. Without empathy, you can't lead, and you can't even partner with others. Be human. Tip 24. Having a discipline as a founder is not a choice. If you don't have discipline, better learn it or do something else. This is around basically having a discipline, and I would say discipline pays off more than even being smart. Discipline will force you to wake up every morning, however exhausted you are, or however bad the day before was, because this is your job. Having discipline will force you to remind yourself and your team of the importance of what you do and why you are doing what you are doing. Without this discipline, you'll stop doing that after 1 or 2 times. Having discipline will force you to stick to your daily plan and will force you to hold yourself against strong and ambitious targets. Without discipline, you will always find excuse for not doing things, and you will always find excuse for not hitting your targets. Be disciplined and don't be smart, at least in the modern version of being smart. Be disciplined as a founder. This is very, very key, or try to learn how to be disciplined. And then lastly, as tip 25, be an honest mirror to yourself. Don't actively search for ways to confirm you are always right. With the number of decisions you are going to make as a founder, you are going to be wrong a lot, and you need to move fast. With that, you need to just live with the fact that you'll be wrong a lot, as long as you admit it. Live with that and just be true and honest to yourself. You need this essentially as a founder and as someone who might be willing to grow a business. So that's it. These were the 25 tips I want to share. I think I've exceeded my time. It was maybe 30 seconds or so. Now I'm happy to receive all the questions. So I'm going back now to the comments that you guys have left. Feel free to add any questions, and I'm going to be going through them now. Mohammed Zidan, he said, how to deal with this situation as a startup. Can you just clarify, Mohammed, which situation that you are referring to? Sorry if I didn't take this right at the spot, so I'm not sure which one are you referring to. We have another comment. Thank you, Abdul Latif. Tip number 13. Digital marketing. Let's go back to tip number 13. So tip number 13 was about basically not following being celebrities. So entrepreneurs are not celebrities. Want to become a celebrity, there are much easier way of doing. By relating this to digital marketing, are you talking about the personal branding that founders are doing? This is a question from Austin Aduro. So yeah, if you can just clarify to me what you mean by your question. But if you are talking about the personal branding of founders, that's fine. Thought leadership is a way for the company to grow and one possible way of content marketing. But I'm talking about other things. I'm talking about founders who are after the spotlight 24 hours. They are always live on social media. They're always available in events. They are trying to always be there and trying to be on stage. They are in it for the belief that they want to, or for the need to be famous, and they are trying just to be celebrities. That's wrong. Thank you, Saif, as well. Thank you, really, Edward and Farah. Thank you all for the kind comments. Which of these tips help you the most as founder? To be honest, I've basically learned a lot from most of these tips, and most of these things I've done as a mistake. Things around not investing in the network early on, especially when I did a transition or a move from Egypt to the UK. I did it because I wanted to build my startup in the UK, but I didn't appreciate enough how hard it is to build a startup without a network. So it took me a couple of years before I've had access to people who might be able to partner with and help me fundraise, etc., etc. So most of this, I've been committing these mistakes in a way or another. But then I've been hopefully able to basically go over them and then do other mistakes. So there are always mistakes that you are going to commit, just about learning from it and admitting that these are mistakes and just taking the next step and the next step. And it's good to have mistakes and to do mistakes, to be honest. You don't learn otherwise. If you are doing everything right and all the success you're getting, then possibly there is something wrong, or something would happen in the future that would force you to think differently. There is a comment in Arabic, whether I'm supporting the sort of like conventional basically product or startup, or the innovative ideas or startup. This is a very good question. To be honest, I'm more like interested in ideas or like problems that solves real needs and painful problems. If you refer back to the definition we've said about exceptional products that basically solve real painful problems for a big set of customers, 10x than the competition. It doesn't really matter whether this is the first idea or this is the most innovative idea. Zoom wasn't innovative, right? There was like WebEx, there was Hangouts, there are many video conferencing tools. Just Zoom did it 10x way than them, and did it in a really, really good way, in a very easy way, and they have been very smart in terms of their execution, but the idea itself wasn't innovative. And we always like think about it this way when we think about our ideas. They have to be innovative, but I would say don't think ideas, think problems. This is a very good thing to like remember. Think of the problems rather than the ideas, and try to observe what are the problems around you that you have edge solving. So don't only think of like how big the problem is, think also like why me and why now. So it needs to be a big problem, and you need to be capable of solving this problem 10x better than other people who might be solving this problem, and would be a lot of them. So Saif said, from where should we start after having an idea? So after having an idea, you need to validate this idea. This is the easiest answer. So having an idea or having a problem first, if I might say, so I would start always with a problem. You want to assess whether this problem exists and is big enough, and you need to have a hypothesis of a solution that you might have to solve this problem. You need to know who are the customers that you are going to serve this solution to, and they are having this problem. And you need to basically assess the mix of the three elements. So you need to have confidence in your problem customer or problem solution fit, and you need to have an assessment of your solution customer fit. So let's say I'm building an app for basically Uber for elderly people. I need to make sure, and in the UK, let's say, I need to make sure that people who are above, let's say, 60 years old in the UK have really a problem using Uber, and that's why I'm developing a new Uber model. And I need to make sure that when I have a hypothesis of a solution that they would use, this solution fit these customers. I'm not, let's say, building a very complex solution that these people can't use or can't get accustomed to. So that's basically what you need to be doing as after starting an idea. There is a very good framework that you can read about more called customer development. It's a very good framework for you to go through. They have 4 phases. The first one is customer discovery. This is what you want to read about, and I'm happy to share with you more resources for sure if you reach out to me. I would share also at the end of the comments my email, so that if anyone wants to get in touch. Yes, I mean branding of business and not only. Yeah, branding of business is great. Building a strong brand is very, very essential. My note area was basically focusing too much on basically personal branding of the founders, and I've also like talked earlier about like how much the business brand is associated with the founder brand. The business is more than just one person, and definitely more than just one founder or a group of co-founders. You said many first customers buy product or service because of the founder. Don't you think social media presence will help? Yeah, definitely. I'm saying definitely social media is a good channel, and one of the channels to use for attract and acquire customers. And there are many other channels as well. Social media is one also like good book called like Traction, which lists basically 19 traction channels. So 19 channels that you can use to acquire users. Social media is definitely one of them. What I'm mentioning in tip 13 is entrepreneurs or founders who want to be celebrities. So they are not really trying to create an impact with their products. They are just trying to be celebrities. And for them, building a startup is basically a route for them to be famous. that's what people need to avoid, because it's very hard to build a startup. So if you want to be famous, there are easier routes. People can do acting, or like do basically be an influencer, like many influencers nowadays. So there are definitely many easier way for that. There is also a question from Ines. Since having a network is key, do you have any tips to boost your networks? So having a network, that's a very good one. I mean, as I said, it takes time. And one tip which I learned is, when you think about building a network, so you think about basically taking, you need to be giving first. So you need people who would be able to share advice with you, right? Whom you would ask questions, whom you would be asking for intros, who you might be going to events and listening to. You need to be doing this yourself. So every one of us has certain expertise in a set of topics, and you need to be giving and sharing before asking for people to give back to you. So first of all, think about what can you give to people, and then basically this would be the first step that you can make, so that people would basically give something back to you. That's one thing. Two, identify what are the hubs that are relevant to you. If you want to be a startup founder, there might be some industries that you are passionate about. There might be some events that might be relevant for this industry, and you need to follow these events and meet these people. Networking is good. Don't overdo it. Because random networking for events is sometimes a waste of time, unless you know the quality of the network and the quality of the people that to go through. But there are very many people whom you'll be surprised how much they are open to reply to an email or reply to a question if you just like even cold email them. So let's say you want to build a startup in the fintech space, and you have an idea and you want to reach to one of the founders of another fintech startup in another location. Just think about just emailing this founder, and you'll be surprised how many replies you might get from. Definitely not from emailing one. You need to email multiple, because some people don't really respond for sure, and you would get a very small success or reply late if you just rely on one email. But if you email, let's say 10 founders, I'm sure you'd get reply from at least half of them, or like 20-30% of them. And lots of founders even like openly, or lots of people who are experts in topics openly share sort of like free office hours, or like they do live events. So it takes time, but it is doable. And again, like think again about the idea of giving something to people first before asking for people to give you something back. Just checking if there's any other questions. I'll also, like, in the meantime, I'll type my email as a comment if anyone would like to ask me later about something, or request any resources. I guess I hope all the questions. If I'm wrong, if I'm not wrong. Yep, I guess that's all the questions. So again, thank you for the for listening, and I'm sorry I wasn't able to share the slides on the screen, but forgive me. This is my first Facebook Live. I need to get used more to it. But I will share the slides anyway with the team from the Region 8 initiative, entrepreneurship initiative. And I might do a small post listing the 25 advices, and hopefully everyone would get it. If you need any questions, you have my email. And thank you all for attending, and hope you all stay safe and stay healthy, and talk to you soon. Thank you. Thanks a lot.